So
Yeah.
there are a couple guys I wanted to talk about. I mean, as a
Okay.
Raiders fan, Jack Tatum, Lester Hayes, the Soul Patrol, those guys.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it was Lester Hayes that's the defensive player of the year. He has more of the individual accolades.
Right.
How much do you think like the politics of some of these guys and like the reputation maybe that's
That's an
keeping them
excellent question.
out, of the
Well,
Hall of Fame?
here's what I think. Lester Hayes has a big stickum problem because his best seasons were pre stickum, legal stickum, and there is a significant drop off afterwards. So and I'm not sure if anybody's saying this, if the voters are saying this, but the numbers would suggest that Stickum had a big part of what he was doing, right? So I think whether that's true or not, but that's certainly the perception around him. So I think that because when you look at his numbers, he had maybe 3/4 of his career interceptions while Stickum was legal. And he played most of his career after it was. So
Hmm.
if I'm his lawyer, I'm going to say, well, people understood that I was good and they stopped throwing at me, and that's why they didn't give me more picks. And that's what I'm going to say if I'm his lawyer, if I'm his advocate. But if I'm not, let's say, wow, you got a lot of interceptions when Stickum was legal, and you stopped picking it off when it wasn't. So that's Lester Hayes. Tatum, he's an example to me of there's so many players out there and Eli falls in this as well. He's not actively campaigning, but he's virtually campaigning because he's
Hmm.
always in the public eye. He is a media figure. Jack Tatum is the type of person that plays less well than Eli on the media, in the media. I think the voters certainly aren't going out of their way to help him, right? Although he was an excellent player. You're a Raider guy. One of the biggest snubs that exists is Steve Wisniewski. Steve
Yes.
Wisniewski was an 8-time All-Pro, was All-Decade for the 1980s? 90s. He
90s,
was
yeah, 90s.
All-Decade. He was 2-time first team, 8-time total All-Pro, but he's a guard. He's not someone that you see around and about. I think he's trying to change that because I was physically at the draft in Green Bay this past draft, and he was there presenting the Raiders pick. So he's out there now, I think, trying to put himself out there, but it shouldn't have to be that way, right? I mean,
No, shouldn't.
if
Absolutely not.
you are
Yeah.
one of the two best players at your position for an entire decade, which is what All Pro means, if the Hall of Fame itself put him All Decade, right? So that's when we say someone is All Decade, that's the Hall of Fame naming their All Decade team. They decided that he was one of the 4 best guards in the entire decade of the 19, sure it's 99.
Yeah, yeah.
How is it that the same guy that good in his position 25 years later is still not in the Hall of Fame? That's a problem for me.
Yeah, doesn't make sense. Yeah, I think the all decades team is usually like that's the dead
That should
giveaway
be
that you
enough.
are. Yeah, if you were
That
good
should be
enough
enough.
for a decade, 10
Yeah.
years, and the average NFL career is 2 years or something.
Yeah.
So if you not only played for 10 years, but you were the best for 10 years, that's a
That
should
should be
be
a
a
wrap.
dead giveaway.
And that's part of the challenge with the Hall. Part of the reason why guys like Wisniewski don't get in are not about exclusivity, it's about process. So
Hmm.
he's having to compete for space with wide receivers and with quarterbacks so they're not saying that he's not a Hall of Famer. They're saying that there are 5 guys that we'd rather put in than you.
Mm.
Or sometimes not even 5, sometimes 3 or 4. And we're going to leave one spot vacant. Another thing I have an issue with. Cycle, only 3 modern era candidates went in. So they chose to keep 2 of their spots that they're allowed to use vacant instead of putting in Wisniewski, instead of putting it in Luke Kuechly, instead of putting it in any number of people they could have put in. So
So
that's a problem.
what's the time difference or the years difference, whatever, between modern era and the
So
senior,
modern
what's
era
called the senior class?
is 25 within 25 years of retirement. So I believe that
Okay.
this is Wisniewski's last year of
Yeah.
eligibility in the modern era. Then anyone after that is in the seniors, and your chances of going in once you get into the senior pool go down exponentially. It's just because now everyone is in there that has been ignored for the last 25 years. So
Mm.
it's rough. I think that Eric Allen was coming up on that.
Yeah, yeah, I
He
think you
went in
retired like oh
last year.
two, oh three, something like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, so he was getting close to that as well. Shannon Sharp, he's someone who I would have put in, not Shannon, Sterling Sharp is
Sterling,
someone
yeah.
that I would have put in a long ago because he's another one of those completely dominant for a short period of time guys.
Yeah, he was listed as like a snub for a very long time, but he finally
Very,
got
and he
in,
was.
this past season, so, he well deserved. I mean, there was a time once upon a time, he was being compared to Jerry Rice,
Yeah,
so if you're ever in that
if
conversation,
in that
you know
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.